Alright, so here we go. Yes, they have added in Alice the Wanderer from Alice in Wonderland. As you can see, she's looking pretty awesome here. We're going to go over all of her abilities together in just a moment and how you can actually obtain her for free. It is super easy to do. Plus, they've added in 5 other, or I should say a total of 5 iconic characters from Alice in Wonderland. If we go over to Demon Spawn, check this out. Cheshire the Cat here. Dude, looking awfully demonic. Cannot wait to see what he can do on the battlefield for sure. And they also did add in, if we keep going here, we can check out the Knight's Revenant because we will find the Mad Hatter. Look at the artwork. This is legit. Like, you can see they took a lot of time out and to respect the universe of Alice in Wonderland. And then we have the Queen of Hearts as well, looking badass as ever. Love the look of these characters. And then there is one more who's kind of like hidden in here. I believe it's an Undead Hordes. If we go, yes, Knave has also been added. Look at his heart beating. Look at the detail. This is really cool. So, yes, we have a chance to collect these characters, but most importantly, we can begin our journey today to getting Alice for free through the Alice Chase. You can see here we're already through day 1. All we have to do is play, 7 different days. Go to day 7 and we will collect her for free and we will have a legendary for free. Day 14, you get the perfect soul. I think it's a 2-star perfect soul. And we can go over the abilities. And then ultimately you do have phase 2. And there's like a bunch of details in here that this is a limited time thing. It's not going to be a forever thing. So yeah, go get it. Just make sure you're signing in like 7 days at the minimum. And since we're talking about free champions, I've got something for you if you are a new user. Check it out. We got Teodor and yes, Ugo, 2 free epic support champions. You can find them in the description below. And yes, a bunch of free starter resources as well. And a shout out to the sponsor of this video, Raid, for making this possible. Now, also, there were some updates they did to the market. We're going to go over that real quick here. I guess you can also get some legendaries in here. I saw a Reddit post about that as well, where someone actually got a legendary offer in the marketplace. Some cool stuff happening there. They've adjusted that completely and updated that. Let me grab my gem. But back to our brand new champions that have been added in here. Let's go ahead and take a look at Alice and see what she offers here. So we have the Vorpal Sword level 1. It attacks 1 enemy 2 times, places an extra hit if the target has any active skills on cooldown, and each hit has an 80% chance of decreasing the duration of a random buff on the target by 1 turn. That's pretty nice. She's also considered an attack character, by the way, if you're wondering, so not like epic support or anything like that. She's going to be on the front lines. So you're going to want to focus on attack-related, gear and that sort of thing. Then we have Clockwork Cyclone level 1. Attacks all enemies, which is nice. Has a 75% chance of increasing the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 2 turns. Also has a 75% chance of decreasing each target's turn meter by 15% if at least one of the target skills has its cooldown increased to the max. Decreases their turn meter by 30%, instead keeping them out of the battle, which is super important. Next up, we have attacks 1 enemy. We'll ignore 20% of the target's defense. This is called Queen Slayer. And if the initial target is killed, also attacks the enemy with the lowest HP. We'll also ignore 20% of the target's defense. So you get that extra attack in there, the extra turn, which is a nice bonus for sure. TikTok, we have passive effect and an active effect here. So what's going on with the passive effect? It says whenever this champion's attack inflicts 3% bonus damage to each target for each turn remaining on all of their skills cooldowns, the bonus damage is counted individually for each target. That sounds pretty good. Now for active effect, it says resets the cooldown of one of this champion's skills each time they kill an enemy. Occurs once per skill. Once again, really keeping her up and running in battle. But for the aura skill, we have increases ally attack in all battles by 30%, which is going to be super nice for the whole team. But moving on here, let's go ahead and take a look at, I wanted to look at, Cheshire Cat. So curious about him. He's just so badass looking. I hope I can get him soon. Now we have Phase Claw level 1. So attacks 1 enemy. If this champion is under a Vel or Perfect Vel buff, attacks all enemies instead. Places a Perfect Vel buff on this champion for 1 turn. Love it. He gets all stealthy, doesn't he? Then we have Feline Frenzy, attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit will decrease the enemy's speed by 1%, stacks up to 10%. That's pretty nice. Now, this effect does not work against bosses. Bummer. Each hit will also increase this champion's speed by 1%, stacks up to 10%. Now, if this skill kills an enemy, places a perfect Vel buff on this champion and the ally with the lowest turn meter for 2 turns. Nice. I do like how his Vel kind of spreads out there to the team. We also have Grinning Helix, attacks all enemies. Before attacking, places a perfect Vel buff and a 50% increased attack on this champion for 2 turns. Grants next turn if this attack kills an enemy. Love it. All about that perfect Vel and Vel ability here. Now, what about Shadow Smile? We have 2 things going on here, a passive and an active. Now, if this champion is under a Vel or perfect Vel buff, turn meter fill effect are 30% more effective. Also, if this champion is under a Vel or perfect Vel buff, this champion's attacks will ignore 15% of the target's defense and inflict 15% more damage. Now, let's get into the active stuff. Whenever this champion is about to receive a hit that would drop their HP below 20%, blocks the incoming damage, and place a block damage and perfect Vel buff on this champion for 1 turn. That sounds really good if you're in a pinch and you want him to stay in the battle and give him a chance to also be healed by a healer on the team. That is very, very beneficial. Now, we also have an aura for speed. Increases all ally speed in all battles by 19%. Kind of wish that was a higher value, but still really nice right there. Okay, really like Cheshire right there. I love how he's all about the Vel ability for sure. And there she is, Queen of Hearts. Let's take a look at her abilities. We have Heartburst. Level 1, attacks all enemies. Love that first of all. Place a 60% decreased defensive debuff for 2 turns. Also fills the turn meters of all allies by 5%. That's really nice that ability kind of spreads out to both like the enemies and the allies. So that's cool. Next up, Off with Their Heads, level 1, removes all buffs from all enemies, then places a Death Brand debuff on the initial target for 2 turns. Okay, also places a True Fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn, fills this champion's turn meter by 5% for each buff removed by this skill. Wow, damn, she sounds OP. Also have Queenly Command, teams up with all allies to attack a single enemy. Before attacking, place a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Excellent. Decreases the cooldown of this champion's Off with Their Heads skill by 2 turns if the target is killed. Keeping her up and running once again. Hail to the Queen says this. For every 10 buffs the enemy team receives, grants this champion an extra turn. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only 1 will activate. Interesting. But what's going on with her aura? Increases ally accuracy in all battles by 70, which is super important for those magic users. Make sure that their abilities actually hit the target. So that's really, really beneficial right there. And don't forget, for the best star in Raid Shadow Legends, you're going to obtain 2 free epic champions right now. Click that link in the description below or the QR code on the screen. Go ahead and scan that and you will obtain them for free and a bunch of free starter resources to give you the best star in Raid. But we also have to take a look at the undead hordes here because we have Knave right here. Freaking awesome. Dude, what is his weapon? Okay, he's got like a badass sword. Okay, his shield is also really detailed. One thing I've noticed about this game is they have some of the best shields that I have seen. But let's go. Thorn Blade. We have attacks one enemy 2 times. Of course, each hit has a 30% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn. Each hit also heals the ally with the lowest HP by 3% of the champion's max HP. Nice. But we also have Gallant Knave. Attacks all enemies. Has a 75% chance of stealing 2 random buffs from each target. Love that. Places a 15% continuous heal buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Also places an unkillable buff and a taunt buff on this champion for 2 turns. So he's not getting the continuous heal buff, but he is getting at least something. So that's nice. Also, Stout Defense says this. Swaps HP with a target enemy and places a 100% heal reduction on that enemy for 2 turns. Now, this debuff cannot be removed, transferred, or have its duration decreased by enemies. That's super beneficial. And then it says this equalizes the HP levels of all allies. The HP levels of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest HP. Dude, that is so good. Damn, that is This, if you have them all grouped in a team, they sound like they're going to be unstoppable. All right, so it says also place a 60% increase defensive buff on allies for 2 turns. It doesn't stop. Now, Eternal Sentinel. At the start of this champion's turn, fully restores this champion's destroyed max HP. Now, when attack destroys the attacker's max HP by 20% of the damage received, stacks up to a whopping 50%, and then they're all about ally HP for all battles by 30%. That's a huge buff right there. So, yeah. It's going to also be interesting to see who you would choose as your team leader. I guess it depends on what scenario you go into for sure. But we cannot forget about the Mad Hatter. Let's see what he is all about. Dastardly Distillation. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Okay. Each hit has a 25% chance of stealing 1 random buff. Now, each hit also has a 75% chance of applying a debuff spread effect. Taking 1 random debuff from the target and placing it on all enemies under a hex debuff. So first they have to be under that hex debuff. Okay, nice. What about Mixture Most Foul? Attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a hex debuff and a 25% weakened debuff on all enemies. So I imagine you would want to start with this first and then move to this one because you have that hex that goes out. You can also team them up with other champions that would have the hex debuff ability. But anyway, let's get back to this. So the ally with the highest crit damage will team up and join the attack. The ally joining the attack will use their default skill. The damage dealt by the ally joining the attack will increase by 10% per each debuff on the target. Damn. So you really want to prep the battle with debuffs. Use this and then go after this. You can kind of see how you are chaining together some massive moves. We also have a Whiff of Madness. Increases the duration of all buffs on allies by 1 turn and decreases the duration of all debuffs on allies by 1 turn as well. Also fills the turn meter of all allies by 20%. Absolutely huge right there. What about Time for Tea? Every 10 turns taken by allies heals all allies by 20% of their max HP. Every 6 turns taken by allies place a True Fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only 1 will activate. Nice. Sounds really good. And then, of course, this aura is all about the ally accuracy. In all battles, it's going to be increased by 60. So overall, these characters are just crazy good. Let me know which one is your favorite, of course. But you can clearly see I have some work to do still to collect some of these legendaries and epics. I'm actually upgrading her bit by bit. But yeah, just to give like a little bit of an update there with what I'm doing, you can just take a sneak peek. I am going to do like an account progress update, but I'm getting there. I have one character here, Wukong, who is pushing for 60. So yeah, and we also have my boy here, Kel, who is level 50 already, but I need to upgrade him. I need to actually get him upgraded, I should say, upgrade his rank. We'll do that eventually. Wait, go back, hold on. Do I actually have, I'm getting there with the chickens. So that's the good news. Yeah, our newest fusion is going to be Mad Hatter, as you can see right here. There is kind of like a fusion calendar that I can show you real quick, which is right here. It's going to be January 8th through the 23rd. So today is the start date. You're going to want to get busy here, getting into the Fire Night tournament, and then eventually we'll work our way to the Champion Chase tournament. You have a lot of different ways, as you can see, to get those fragments, and ultimately you're going to need 4 Dawn Caller Sabithas to actually fuse together and get your Mad Hatter. So yeah, you have until the 23rd. I mean, there's no rush, but still, it's going to be quite difficult because there's going to be a lot of resources required to pull this one off. So good luck. And they've introduced a new champion training event, artifact enhancement event, and yes, the fusion warm-up event is still going on. But yeah, you're going to want to get busy with these right out of the gates. I have got to get to playing here and see what I can actually pull off. Of course, you're going to want to ultimately get these fragments. That's going to be the big deal as you can see right there. And I cannot neglect to mention that there is a brand new event dungeon that has been added here. Actually, I'm going to go into it. I know I'm going to die instantly, probably. Or maybe not. Let's slot in our characters here real fast. My go-to team. Yeah, let's try it. Facing off against the Queen of Hearts. Oh, okay, so... yeah, we got to work our way through the tiers here. We have begun our adventure. Dude, okay, so this goes all the way up to stage 30. So we have a long way to go, but this is going to be fun. A challenge, definitely. And a final reminder, I'm giving away Teodor and, yes, Ugo for free for new users. Click that link in the description below or scan the QR code on the screen to receive them and a bunch of free starter resources. Check it out. But there it is. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to have some gameplay up here of Alice the Wonder once I actually obtain her here in about, well, actually now it's going to be 6 days. So look out for that video in the very near future. Thank you all so much for the love and support on the channel and for watching. We are growing steadily over here day by day. This is like a whole new adventure for me, so I greatly appreciate the support. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.